Hi, everybody. Good to see you again. Just checking to make sure my screen is working here. We woke up today to feeling that earthquake. I'm sure many of you probably felt that, and if not, you'll hear about it on the news a lot. We just finished talking about this in class when we did our earth science unit, didn't we? Let's review a few things. First of all, when we talked about the earthquake, we mentioned that we live on what's called the Wasatch Fault. Okay, if you want to know how to spell that, it's Wasatch Fault. There's actually a whole string of faults that go all up and down Utah along the Rocky Mountains. Uh, and remember that the valley that we live in used to be way up here at the top of those mountains that we have to the east of where you live. Okay, this valley has dropped every couple hundred years along this fault line. That fault extends out kind of like that underground. It just sort of goes out this direction. And every time that valley drops, it used to be up here, right? And every time it drops, there's an earthquake. And we talked about how often those earthquakes are pretty big. We would be like, right, there's sort of a shelf of debris here. This is sort of where the school is, and where maybe some of you guys live is right there. But that's what caused this earthquake. It was just a slip in this fault. It was a pretty decent sized one. Now, where we were, we didn't feel it quite as strongly as they felt it up north. Where my parents were close to it, and they felt it quite a bit more strongly than we feel it here. And honestly, feeling that earthquake, I may have told you this before, that's one of the best things that we could feel right now as far as this fault, because what happens is this fault here, it wants to slip and it wants to slip, and it's building up all this tension just waiting to snap. And so having earthquake like we just did, it was big enough without being too big that it released some of that tension. So it didn't, it just made it more likely that it reduced some of the tension for having a bigger earthquake later on. So that's a good thing. It got rid of some of that tension, relieved a little bit of it, so that it's less likely that we'll have a really big one later on. It will take off some of that pressure. Now, that doesn't mean there couldn't still be another big one, but it probably made a difference. Now, I know up where my parents live, they have also felt what are called aftershocks. There have been continuing to have earthquakes every about 4 or 5 minutes. Some of them are up to about a 4.0, which is, it'll shake the ground a little bit. None of these have been crazy strong. There has been some damage up in Salt Lake. You can watch the news, maybe KSL, listen to the radio, and you can hear that there has been a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. So I don't want you guys to be fearful. I want you to know that everything's okay. There will continue to be aftershocks for a while. Just little earthquakes happen after. We probably won't feel most of them down here where we are in Springville. But again, I felt that earthquake this morning and I was excited about it. I thought, oh, great, that just relieved some of the tension on this fault, and that's a good thing. It makes me less worried. Since we had this, today's assignment will just be a little bit of research on a few things. So please check the description that goes along with this video and make sure you do the assignment today. Just to have you look up maybe the magnitude of this earthquake, where it was located, how long to expect aftershocks, and maybe some things that you can do for emergency preparedness to make sure you have what you need. Now, I know with all of the things with COVID-19 going on, it just sort of compounds. But again, please don't let this freak you out too much. This was a normal occurrence for Utah. There was another earthquake like this that happened maybe 30 years ago. It was south. And again, I'll maybe ask you a few questions about that to find, but you'll just need to do a little research for your assignment today. If you have questions, please let me know, and I will get back to you. If you have any concerns, shoot me a message either in email or here on Google Classroom. Okay, thanks, guys.